Tonight, a rift's developing in central Otago over the Clyde Dam dispute. Who are these masked men and what are they doing up a mountain with wetsuits on? And did Victorian ladies ever have any fun? The answer's later in the programme. Good evening. As you may have seen on the network news, the dispute on the Clyde Dam site seems to be coming to a head. The combined unions meet on Sunday and it's likely there'll be a call for a return to work. As Mark Price reports, the private workforce is dividing into those who want to stay out and those who've had enough.
The private contractors on the dam, German-controlled Zublin Williamson, and their workforce of 450 have been pretty well left to their own devices to sort out their differences. It's an argument about money, but the differences between the two sides have always run deeper than that.
The biggest reason I didn't want to be here, I told the joint venture, you're walking into a setup. There will be people put in certain parts of that meeting, and they will be there to try and embarrass you. And I don't think you should go to a meeting and do that. That's what I said, that's what I believe, but I'd have to say that I think it's been a pretty good meeting. It's been pretty...
As a meeting in Alexandra last night showed, the argument now is not just between worker and employer. Workers from different towns, from different backgrounds are divided.
Cromwell is sort of, it's not stable Cromwell people where you've got Alex people who are people who've lived in Alex most of their lives. Some have come here, but on the average, the ones that have sort of lived here, found the dam, good money, moved out and gone to the dam, where Cromwell has sort of come from all parts of New Zealand, mainly because there's good money and they're offered accommodation, which was part of the contract.
And that has a big bearing on...
I think that has a big bearing. I think it's probably got a big bearing on the strike. I don't know. You know, I'm not prepared to say that there's a big rift between Clyde, Alexander and Cromwell. As there's always been a rift between Clyde, Alexander and Cromwell for as many years as I can remember, mainly on the football field. But apart from that, I don't think I can say any more on that one.
Some have left Central altogether. The single men's camp is only a handful of men left, and as of tonight they are still under threat of eviction tomorrow.
To some boys it's our home, you know. It's just like putting us out in the street, you know, nowhere to go sort of thing.
However, a company spokesman suggests that because of the importance being attached to a union meeting on Sunday, it's unlikely any action will be taken against those who refuse to leave in the meantime.
Hundreds of Dunedin high school students are down with the flu. The health department's identified 2 strains as the cause, but says no vaccinations are available. Neither strain's the same as the bug that's rampant in Christchurch, where several people are reported to have died. Many students are not expected to return to school until next week. Ice hockey in the south will receive a boost from the new Naseby field. It'll be the only specialised ice hockey field in New Zealand, a bit smaller than Olympic size, but still easily large enough for proper competition. Jim Moore checks on progress.
In a couple of weeks, the 66 by 30 metre field will be finished and ready to host the ice hockey teams in the southern zone. It'll look a bit more upmarket than this by then, with walls erected around the field, goalposts in place, 9 kilowatts of floodlighting, and eventually toilets and seating. Naseby was chosen as the venue because it provides the best natural freezing in the area, but the recent cold weather proved more of a hindrance than a help to the members of the Ranfurly Ice Hockey Club who are building the facility. It's quite an expensive job, but mates' rates and free contributions have helped. Club President Owen Hunter says the field should provide a boost to the sport in the south.
There's 7 teams now in the southern zone, and it's just starting to lift in New Zealand now.
Next stop, Winter Olympics.
Maybe.
In case you're thinking about giving ice hockey a go, start saving. It costs about $1,000 to outfit a player so he or she's fully protected against the rigours of the sport.
Fishing's an important ingredient in southern tourism, and we like to boast we have some of the best fishing rivers and lakes in the world. So if fish stocks were endangered by overfishing, we'd have good reason to be concerned. And that's the worry of some of the area's professional fishermen, as Jim Moore reports.
Lake Wakatipu at the mouth of the Lockie River, a popular fishing spot year-round. There's no winter fishing restriction on the lake, and no restriction either on trolling for trout in the area where the river meets the lake, a popular congregating area for fish. It used to be illegal to troll within 200 metres of a river mouth, but no longer. The concern is that anglers are abusing the free rein they've been given. Roy Moss is a professional fishing guide operating out of Queenstown, and he says there's a problem in the making.
You're getting a lot of fish that are congregating at river mouths, waiting to go up to spawn, and these fish are being caught in quite large numbers at river mouths, and it clearly must have some influence on the spawning of these fish. You're getting sometimes people coming out and getting 10, 15, 18 fish a day, which is quite a lot for here. There's not a big... we don't have the numbers here that they do in Taupo and Rotorua. Right. And even if some of those fish are released, and hopefully a lot of them are, one wonders how successfully those fish can go up the rivers and spawn. The river fishing, I've noticed over the 10 years that I've been doing this professionally, each year there are fewer fish in the rivers, and this is it's applicable to not only the Lochie, but also the Greenstone and the Vaughan and the other rivers that run into this lake. And that could possibly be also similar in other areas, Monica and other lakes that have got similar rivers running into them.
Roy Moss would like to see a restriction on winter trolling near river mouths. Senior Department of Conservation Ranger Tom Cruise agrees there could be a problem developing.
I think Roy has some valid concerns. However, it can be an emotional type situation too. We really do not have the information to say that it's having a serious impact or not at this time. Bearing in mind that salmonids, particularly trout, rainbow and brown trout, have a very high natural mortality rate. And so, you know, you're always going to have that regardless of fishing pressure.
There's only one way to count fish. A helicopter takes the dock divers up to the headwaters of the Lochie, about 15 kilometres from the lake and 700 metres up in the Ayr mountain range. It's a cold job when the water temperature's 2 degrees. Even inside their wetsuits, Tom and Rudy Heaches are freezing. Hats off to them.
We don't have any hardcore information as such to really give us the information. Hopefully now by accumulating this information this year, we'll have a base to start from, and any changes we make to the existing fishing regulations, at least from now on in, we'll be able to monitor those.
The guys find fish all right, but it's too early in the study to draw conclusions. There's a lot of legwork involved along with the diving, as the team has to trudge across the snowy terrain in sub-zero temperatures when the river level makes it impossible to keep their heads below water. Eventually, the data gathered by DOC will enable them to obtain a clear picture of fish stocks in the area. Then they'll know for certain whether steps have to be taken to preserve the fishery.
Now that looks like a cold job, but at least the air temperature's been a bit warmer around the region today. Most of us are back into the double figures. And at 3 o'clock, Half Moon Bay was partly cloudy but 13 degrees. Invercargill cloudy and 12. Gore high cloud and 14. Balclutha sunny 13. Dunedin partly cloudy 15. Palmerston sunny and the high today of 16 degrees. Oamaru fine and 14. Coorau sunny and 12, Ranfurly 6 degrees, Queenstown fine and 4 degrees. It was overcast in Wanaka with 3 degrees, overcast in Alexandra where the low was recorded today of 1 degree, and Tayanau sunny and 9 degrees. And the expected highs for tomorrow are Dunedin 15 and Invercargill 13 degrees. A travelling roadshow featuring the wonders of science is entertaining crowds of school pupils all over the South Island. The idea is to make science, physics and chemistry fun. And if the crowds are anything to go by, it's a big success. Peter Cruikshank went along to see what he could make of it.
A procession of schools has been given a front row performance by presenter Tim Outen, whose aim is to make science impressive and fun. While the first part of the programme is an entertaining feature on chemistry, the longest part is devoted to giving visitors an opportunity of some practical experience of science topics.
Any ideas? It's because of the shape. So this way it comes out, the tapering. Yeah, see the way this is tapered.
It was presented this way in the 3 parts to allow a little bit of teaching up front. And of course those demonstrations that you've just seen have got to be in a controlled environment, giving them playtime and then pulling them back together again for another structured demonstration. So it's really a teaching package.
Will there be much reaction to it, do you think?
I hope so. If we can just get a few children thinking about science as a possible career, then we've won the battle.
do you think of these demonstrations?
I think they're really good. I like quite a few of them.
Are you going to be more interested in science as a result of it?
Yeah, I think it will be.
The combined force of an army corporal, a science graduate and a teacher has created so much interest in the Roadshow that it's having to limit the numbers coming to the program.
That's today's science lesson. Very entertaining it looks too. And now to history and a glimpse into the lives of the Victorians. Lee Davies got carried away with a display of Victorian ball gowns and jewellery at the Otago Early Settlers Museum.
Bows and frills seem to be a big thing, Elizabeth. Was that the case with all their clothes?
Early on, yes, they decorated their dresses with bows and frills and artificial flowers rather than with jewellery. And we can see quite clearly in these two lovely white dresses behind us that that's how they were decorated rather than in any other heavy way. And of course, lots of lace and laces, ribbons and that sort of thing on the underwear. Fiddly buttons and no elastics, so that it was always a long process getting dressed.
And such tiny, tiny waists.
Yes, that's... and look at this one.
This looks a wee bit risque to be Victorian.
Yeah, well, some of them were. Yes, that's really very delightful, but I don't expect everybody wore that sort of thing. I think this white underwear was mostly the thing.
Did they decorate their clothes with a lot of jewellery?
Early in the Victorian period they didn't, no, things were much plainer, but then by the middle of last century industrial processes meant that you could make jewellery much more easily and it was therefore obtainable more cheaply and more people could afford to buy it. And so then we have the development of what we think of as really heavy Victorian jewellery, long heavy golden chains and watches and that sort of thing. So
what
there was
about
quite
brooches,
a change.
that kind of thing?
Yes, the early brooches that we know of, we have one really interesting one that came out with somebody on the Philip Lang. It's this dear little silver one with Mary engraved on it, and it's just very small and delicate. But then later they became much heavier.
We see a lot of cameos and things too in Victorian pictures. Were they popular?
Yes, cameos were very popular, and all kinds of semi-precious stones, particularly amber. Got a lovely yellow amber necklace on display. And the Victorians particularly liked sentimental jewellery with pictures of either their dead relatives or their loved ones. And we've got this locket that has the husband and wife. You can switch them round and she's on one side and he's on the other. And jewellery that had people's hair in it too, either just the lock of hair or decorated into some particular little design. That was very characteristic of Victorian jewellery.
With such a sombre sort of outlook about those things, did they have any fun?
Well, I think they did. If you look at the scene, yes, I think they really did have a lot of fun.
See how Lee could get carried away with that. Our thanks to dancers Annette McFadgen and Robert Johnston for their performance. We can't guarantee the dancing, but you can see the display till the end of the month at the Otago Early Settlers Museum. We'll be back tomorrow night. Good night.